So recently, friend of the show Sean, also known as Actual Justice Warrior, went on Tim Pool's new show, The Culture War, to debate Emma Vigeland. Now, Emma Vigeland used to work for the Young Turks, TYT, but now she works for Sam Seder over at The Majority Report. The Majority Report is generally considered a progressive leftist show, so you can probably imagine the types of topics they like to discuss there. Now, I've seen other creators talk about this situation and offer their commentary, but I haven't seen any address it quite the way I'm going to in this video today, so be sure to stick around because I promise it's going to be unique. But before we get to that, I'd like to thank today's video sponsor, Fume. Do you have a bad habit? Well, the key word in that is bad, because sometimes it's probably better to replace a bad habit with just a habit. Which brings us to today's video sponsor, Fume. You see, instead of electronics, fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, it uses flavored air. Instead of harmful chemicals that other products might use, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. And I just have to say, almost from the moment I took it out of the box, I couldn't stop fidgeting with the thing. I mean, it's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. And granted, it being fidgety is not the main selling point of this, but I just can't help, like, it opens with this, or it closes rather, with this magnet here. And it's just like, as soon as I take it out of the box, I'm just like moving it, almost like clicking a pen or whatever. I was doing this for like hours the other day, I swear. Anyway, it comes with these flavored cores. We'll give the white cranberry a try today. Before even taking a puff, I can definitely smell it in the air. Adjust the airflow as needed. I have to say, that is surprisingly pleasant. So ditch the old habits, switch to one that isn't harmful. So head to tryfume.com/nuancebro or scan the QR code and use code nuancebro when you order the Journey Pack today to get 10% off your order. Again, that's tryfum.com/nuancebro and use code nuancebro at checkout for 10% off your Journey Pack order. So originally this discussion was supposed to be between the guests, Sean and Emma. But it ended up becoming more of the Emma and Tim show because Emma decided she wanted to take shots at Tim so they could presumably generate clips for their show, The Majority Report. Now, towards the beginning of the show, there was a back and forth between Sean and Emma. They were covering the topics, and Sean did a masterful job explaining the statistics around criminal justice and things like that. So if you haven't already, check out Sean at Actual Justice Warrior. He does great videos, especially on the topics of criminal justice. But eventually, Emma probably decided she didn't want to go hard mode with Sean. She wanted to go easy mode with Tim and just attack him on some sort of low-hanging fruit. And this is what we saw.
How about the fact that you called the
grooming
shooter in the neo-Nazi Texas shooter who watched your program, you called that a false flag?
Because you don't even know anything about that story.
I do.
It was four clips of the episode, and you can see in the images he wasn't even subscribed to the channel.
Yeah, but he watched your show.
No, he didn't. He watched one guy.
Yeah, have you ever went to those time codes? He was highlighting specific, and I won't name the guest from the guest.
But like, he did watch your show.
Like this is
so
like
you're saying he watched an episode?
Smear.
Sure, but do you understand why? On. And he posted about
who was that one guy who watched Majority Report and then commented on what Sam did?
Why do you think that? But no, this was a neo-Nazi. Why do you think your content appeals to neo-Nazis?
Are you kidding me right now?
No, I'm just wondering why you think that.
Have you
okay, I'm gonna do something I don't normally do, but that was an egregious over the line statement where I don't know if you are intentionally trying to just generate clips that are nonsensical or you're just really that stupid.
Oh man.
The idea that because a Nazi watched your show appeals to Nazis is like, look, if you want to have a real conversation, we have a real conversation. If you want to come up here and do exactly what the majority, you want to do what the Majority Report does, and exactly why Sam isn't welcome on my and many other shows, feel free to do it, and I'm willing to have you on here. Did you know that? Like, I don't know about you specifically, but this is exactly why people don't like your show. Okay.
I think people like our show.
Yeah, maybe ask why some of these higher profile personalities and networks won't have Sam on anymore. And he can cry.
Afraid of him.
Oh, they're afraid of him. How about it's because you just claimed that my show appeals to Nazis? Which it clearly doesn't. Your show. Because this show is predominantly like moderate libertarian leaning types.
No,
but you
say
don't even
that,
watch
and
it.
that you say that because you're trying to draw a line and make the really far right people that watch your show feel like their positions are a little bit more close to the mainstream than they actually are.
Okay, let's say for
so you called it a false flag, and then when you were proven wrong the next day, you said you thought it was funny.
Called what a false flag?
You called the claims that the neo-Nazi shooter watched your show a false flag.
I don't know if I said that. That sounds awfully specific.
I don't have the exact quote in front of me, Tim. But
So you don't know what I said? Where did
yes,
you hear
I do.
that?
I would listen to you.
Did you say something like, it sounds like, I said, it sounds like a psyop to have this profile appear one day after the shooting where it's got like a bunch of screenshots on it or something?
Sure.
It really does sound to me like someone told you to say things and you don't know what you're referencing.
I'm not shocked that that is the only way that you're going to try to react to this.
To react to what? Okay, no, this is fairly obvious. So I'm willing to bet Sam was like, hey, ask him about this and say these exact things.
No, I came up with,
Come up with original thoughts. Come on.
It is my original thought.
So
No, it isn't.
It's
some guy posts a screenshot of one episode of a show he's not subscribed to, and you think that's an attack vector for something political, but it's a personal snipe that has no bearing on any of the arguments we've made the entire show.
I disagree.
Yes.
You disagree with what? With what? Elaborate.
I disagree that it has no bearing on what you've said throughout your entire show.
Like what? What did I say?
This is
Come
what,
on, come
this
on,
was
come on.
the claim
Let's
that you
hear
made.
it. Let's hear it.
I believe that your program appeals to a right-wing audience, and there's a reason that the neo-Nazi shooter watched your program.
And how do you know he watched the program?
Because he posted about it.
What did he post?
Tim,
What did he post?
he posted parts of an interview that you did.
No, he didn't. You're wrong.
He had 4 screenshots on his phone from
You
the
don't
same
even know what
episode.
you're talking about, and all you can do is laugh and
No,
say,
it's because you get
some
specific
guy,
to obscure
some
the fact.
guy
You called it
posted
a
one thing one time, and that's the only argument you have.
All right, so quick recap. Emma says that a Hispanic neo-Nazi shooter watches Tim's content and says that his content appeals to neo-Nazis because of this. Her evidence for him watching this, she claims that the guy made posts about Tim's show or posted a clip of Tim's show. This is incorrect, and Tim corrects her, and it's actually 4 screenshots from his show of 2 different guests. And the screenshots and the time codes, if you go to them, apparently, is one of the guests, for example, talking about how race is too emphasized, how we should be maybe more race neutral. So it kind of goes against this idea of what a neo-Nazi would be in favor of. It doesn't really add up to maybe him agreeing with this sentiment. That doesn't make sense. But the Emma Vigeland standard has been set. Her standard seems to be, if a neo-Nazi, a single one, watches your show, that means your show appeals to neo-Nazis, and people should be questioning you and implying that your show is this type of content, like neo-Nazi, pro-neo-Nazi content. So, keeping the Emma Vigeland standard in mind, imagine if a neo-Nazi watched her boss's show, The Majority Report. I'll do you one better. Imagine if a neo-Nazi not only watched the show, but called into the show. I'll do you one better on top of that. Imagine if they not only watched the show and called into the show, but that the people, the hosts of the show, who are supposed to be progressive leftists, are actually loving this guy, laughing along with him, and saying they should fly him out and that he needs to call in more often. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have that clip. Let's take a look at it, and we'll offer commentary throughout.
531 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Thanks for taking my call, everybody. This is John from Nebraska.
John, what's on your mind?
I don't really identify as left, at least culturally, but I try to listen to opinions across the political spectrum, and I think that the show is entertaining, and you do a good job.
Thanks, John.
First of all, the caller's real name is not John. I'm not actually going to get into the real name of the caller, even though they have been doxxed multiple times. But keep in mind, so far he has said that he doesn't identify as left, at least culturally, but that he finds the show entertaining and likes to take in different perspectives. So he likes the show, watches the show enough that he finds it entertaining.
But I had an experience with Dave Rubin, and I thought you folks would appreciate it. It involves some interesting ideas.
Is this a prank phone call?
I love this. No, good.
All right, go ahead. Yes. What was your experience with Dave Rubin? Ideas. Anyways, go ahead. What's the story?
Skip.
Well, first of all, I was invited to a Rubin event for free by some Turning Point USA people promoting this event on campus. I'm a senior student.
Okay.
Average students were weirded out by them due to their cheesy propaganda with it's like these stickers and buttons that said
Right.
"Big Gov sucks."
Right.
It's so cheesy. It's condescending, and I think it's likely why nobody was talking to them, even as conservative as Nebraska tends to be.
Right.
It's also just weird in a contemporary climate to see a small group of young people who for some reason think Milton Friedman or Mises are a novel rather than folks whose economic models and promises to baby boomers go through the floor.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
This guy could take the wheel of the show for a little while. All right, keep
Go
going.
off, John.
Yeah, go off, John. Go off, King. Yes.
So you see the host, Michael Brooks, saying the caller can take the wheels of the show. Go off, King, seemingly praising the caller.
I do have to say that something he said was particularly revealing about both him and those who came to see him.
Yes. Well,
Which was at the start of his speech, he first asked anyone to raise their hands if they have it worse than their grandparents. To which nobody raised their hand in this small crowd of maybe 75 to 80 people that were pretty much overwhelmingly libertarian.
right.
And
You don't say.
maybe it's 20-something conservatives. Rubin goes on to say that not once has anyone ever raised their hand when he asks this question. Now, it's either a lie due to, by many measures, younger generations in the USA being financially screwed compared to boomers, or it's not a lie and it actually just shines a light on the echo chamber, which really begs the invitation of those with other ideas, as we would say.
I feel like we've stumbled into a film noir.
I think you should be calling more often, John. I think you've got chops as a caller.
It's like the Ambrose Bierce of callers.
Yes, and I just want to let people know that this is a good example of there is a way to call and let me step back and give you a lot of room. And it's called doing a good call. You do a good call, you talk without interruption.
I feel like John Draper is explaining Dave Rubin to us. It's wonderful.
Why do people love these shitty ideas?
Like, they're interested in ideas, but there are none. It doesn't make any sense.
Why do you watch these Dave Rubin videos?
So he tells the caller you should call in more, that this is an example for the audience of a good call. People should call in like this, that the caller has chops for what he does. He's a good caller. They start flattering him in the sound of his voice, saying he sounds like Don Draper, the way he talks.
They asked people who disagree to get their first question, and that was very nice of them, I guess. First question was a guy who asked why he didn't have left people on his show like Sam Cedar. And that's what prompted me to... It's like, I should call in and tell him about this. But,
Dave,
you love
so
to see
he's
it.
there, like, even in Nebraska.
Thanks for the free advertising. Whoever said that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Props to the University of Nebraska. All right, John.
when this, in response, he said that he wouldn't waste time with someone like Sam, so I guess you guys aren't up for discussing ideas.
No, I don't think Dave wants to do ideas with us.
So you can see they're sharing many laughs with this caller. And then the caller talks about a question that he asked Dave Rubin. Now, we'll get to his question because they basically discuss it in great detail here. But then at the end of the show, they actually have a clip of the caller. They actually find the actual clip. This is not a prank call. The caller did actually ask Dave Rubin this question. So they find the clip and they talk about it.
Great, great cadence and pace on that call.
Amazing
good.
call. I think I'm going to have to make that the last call of the day because we have to go.
You could put
It's like
that
William
on
T.
any
Bowman going
product
up
and I
against-
would buy it.
It's like William T.
And again, before we get into them watching the video, more praise for the caller from them saying great cadence, great call. If you put that voice on a product, I'll buy it. Just compliments all the way for this caller from the hosts of the Majority Report.
Are you fucking kidding me? This is Dave Rubin getting questioned by our new friend from Nebraska, Dummy Dave, in all of his glory.
What I'm referring to, just so the context of the questions
Pause
understood.
it. Pause it. I'm sorry. Yes, he's a real caller,
Hell
and
yeah,
he does
dude.
have that awesome
He's
voice.
awesome.
He looks like hardcore Griscom.
Yeah, he
Oh, he
does.
totally-
It's Nebraska Griscom.
It's Nebraska Griscom. We need to get him. We need to fly him out. Have
Yeah.
him on TMBS. All right, go.
So they start off reviewing the footage. They say our new friend from Nebraska, referring to the caller. They say, oh my God, he's real. We need to fly him out for TMBS, which if you don't know, it's the host here, Michael Brooks, the Michael Brooks Show, although they are doing the Majority Report with Sam Cedar, but of course, Sam Cedar isn't there. It's just his employees working as the hosts for the day. But yeah, they love this guy.
During European colonialism in the Americas, free alcohol was often given to native tribes as a proof both to
I'm going to speed up a little bit.
weaken
because we
tribal
already heard
solidarity
this.
through alcoholism and to increase the odds of more trades in the future. When vast amounts of opium were introduced to China through British free trade policy, the results were largely catastrophic, with drug addiction destroying common families while making a large profit for the English, which, when they resisted in the Opium Wars, came into fruition. When Israel occupied the city of Ramallah in 2002, Israel took control of the television networks to broadcast pornography.
I'm with
Obviously, in an attempt to pacify resistance by manipulating people through their passions.
I'm with you every step of the way on this.
Keeping these examples in mind, how do you differentiate between a state which facilitates
where you're
drugs and
going.
sexual liberation because it values your freedom, and a state which does the same thing because it wants to enslave you?
Well, if I understand the question correctly, I mean, look, I would say that everything that I've laid out here would be to design a state that doesn't have, without commenting on those specific things, especially the third one I've never heard, but let's put that aside for a second. All of the ideas that I've laid out here have been the ideas that would limit the state from doing any of those things. In a truly free society that is actually based on liberty and individual laws and and limited property and all of those things, or personal property and all of those things, the state would not be powerful enough to do any of those horrific things. And this is sort of a negotiation. This is the negotiation that everyone has to take. So it's like right now, I would say to someone on the left, if you hate Trump, the argument isn't we have to impeach him or he's Hitler or any of those things. What you should be doing is actually fighting for the principles of limited government so that the guy that you think is evil, who might...
So there it was. You saw the segment. It was on the Majority Report. I mean, you could see the signs plastered behind them saying the Majority Report. And you heard the caller who claimed his name was John, not his name. And you saw his face in the video that they played on the show. So, okay, who was this caller? Well, this is the guy. You can see... Looks a little different here, but this is before the longer hair. And it says, loose lips at American Vanguard show us just how fractured the alt-right is. Now, this is where we get into a bit of dicey territory because I don't know whether I should include the name, even though it's in a bunch of these articles. He's been doxxed many times. You see the guy's face. Like, I don't know exactly how to treat it. So I'm going to move forward by just telling you a bunch of the information. If you want to look it up and research it for yourself, you can. But I'm going to try to do this without putting that information out there. But basically, this individual would go under the moniker Ghoul. Now, he was allegedly a deputy director of American Vanguard. Now, people would switch it around. Sometimes they would say American Vanguard or Vanguard America. But as you can see, it's a white supremacist, neo-Nazi, neo-fascist organization. The organization gained particular prominence after James Alex Fields. This is the guy who ran people over with the car at Charlottesville, after it was revealed that he marched with them. And as you can see here at the end of the wiki article, that Vanguard America has produced two competing splinter groups, the more popular Patriot Front, founded in August 2017, and the National Socialist Legion, founded in January 2018. Of course, National Socialist meaning Nazi. And Patriot Front are those group of guys that always dress all the same and walk and do these types of rallies, and there are often memes on the internet about how they're infiltrated with feds. This caller was also often a co-host in the early days of an alt-right neo-Nazi podcast. I won't go into the details of all the shows. There was a couple of shows or the network, but here's a clip of the caller speaking in one of those shows.
Also, ignorant about human psychology, especially today. I'm relatively positive that if we lived in a full nap society and I just started an edgy club called the N***er House or something, I'm pretty sure it would actually be a huge success. It would have people that were angry at it, but would just give it that much more attention. Yeah, you could be a fucking complete red pill and be fine, and so.
So how's that Emma Vigeland standard working now? She asked, well, why does your show appeal to neo-Nazis? I just want to know why your show appeals to neo-Nazis. Well, you're talking about screenshots of Tim's show of two of his guests and not Tim, and not recordings, not him calling in, not him saying up front he enjoys the show, finds it entertaining. The hosts aren't responding to the guy whatsoever. But all of these examples are true for Emma Vigeland's current employer. Has she ever decided to talk about this? She might claim she didn't know. Well, now she does. We made this video. She can respond to it. I doubt she will. Now, the funny thing is, some of the folks at the Young Turks actually agree with me that the point she made on this was stupid.
I watched a lot of this. I don't really watch Tim cast, and there's a real conversation to actually be had where Tim is talking about how Emma doesn't watch his program, and Emma's talking about how Tim doesn't watch Emma's program. They all have these notions of what the other one does just because they respond to what surfaces. And it's possible. One of the things that triggered Tim very obviously is when Emma said, sorry, Tim, your program appeals to Nazis. And he lost his mind. He was like, how dare you say that? And then he brought TYT into the equation and said TYT was something that one of the shooters at one point back in the day watched and then went out and said, I'm now gonna go commit a mass shooting because I'm the one to stop this. I think the main takeaway from that is stop this.
So there you can see one of the TYT hosts, Brett Ehrlich, talking about how, hey, you guys should probably stop this. Don't do this whole thing where it's like, well, someone watched your show and they're this type of person, and someone watched your show and they did this thing, therefore you're responsible. He doesn't want that to be a thing, which, of course, if you really weigh the different issues, the topic that they're talking about, we can talk about in a second. But they're talking about the Gavin Long situation, which is way worse for TYT than the accusation made towards Tim, because you're talking about screenshots on a phone versus the Gavin Long situation, which this guy killed 4 police officers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And this guy not only it wasn't about screenshots on a phone. This guy would watch TYT segments. The guy had a YouTube channel where he would upload clips that he would respond to from TYT and say, that's right, I agree with what's being said in this video. I'm the one that's gonna step up and do something about the cops. And he says things like this, multiple videos, not just one video, but he does multiple videos like this on his own YouTube channel. Which in the show with Emma Vigeland and Tim Pool, Sean, friend of the show, Actual Justice Warrior, if you haven't already, by the way, subscribe to his channel because he covered this Gavin Long situation masterfully and did so in the episode with Tim Pool and Emma Vigeland. And also subscribe to this channel if you haven't already and hit the like button. It really helps us out in the algorithm. So if you've enjoyed the episode, enjoyed the show so far, hit the like button. It really helps us out. But Sean points out this Gavin Long situation. Let's take a look at that.
But used to be at TYT, and Gavin Long, who was the Baton Rouge shooter, watched, reposted, and did reactions to Young Turks videos. A lot of them were straight misinformation. There was one in particular where they were going after a cop who slammed a woman, which, by the way, the cop acted inappropriately, but they wildly speculated that it was a black woman. It turned out to be a white woman. And there was a call in the video of like, what do you do if you see a pregnant black woman being assaulted by a cop? Gavin Long said he's going to step up. You can watch these videos; they're available online. And he shot 4 cops.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't my comment.
I didn't say. Hold on. I didn't say it was your commentary, but you're saying screenshots on this guy's phone. Big problem. I got to bring it up right here. But have you ever covered at all what inspired Gavin Long?
Because
he killed 4 police officers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That wasn't my coverage, so I don't know. I was based in
What
New
about
York.
the guy in Dallas? Remember him?
That was a different shooter.
Sam, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to trigger you. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just curious where your standards are. Like, have you gone after the hosts on the Young Turks for that one?
Clip harvesting, clip farming. Is that what you're doing? Continue, Sean.
Yeah. So if screenshots, which are of clips that weren't even him speaking, is Tim Pool inspiring the shooter, then how come you've like never done this commentary at a place you used to work at of direct inspiration? Like he saw a clip, cuts to himself saying, I'm going to step up because I'm the real one.
I've never heard of this. So
that's interesting that you never heard of that.
Well, so it happened. Why do you think it is that your former program appealed to mass shooters so much?
I cover right wingers.
So isn't that incredible? She goes from, well, that wasn't my coverage. That's not my coverage, whatever. Okay, well, the Tim Pool stuff wasn't your coverage either, but you felt the need to criticize him over that. Why can't you criticize a place you used to work at? Granted, you didn't work there at the time, but again, not your coverage, whatever. No one's saying it's your coverage. But your former employer, where this guy was arguably inspired in part by the Young Turks, doing reaction videos to them, talking about how he's going to step up. Why no reaction to that? She says she's never heard of it. Now she has. Are we going to see a new reaction from her? Probably not. And she pivots to, well, I cover right-wingers. Okay, well, how about the guy I just pointed out on this video today? He's a right-winger, according to you, these neo-Nazi types. You should cover him, right? Oh, but it was on your current employer's show. Again, not your coverage. We can play this game all day long, but clearly people realize this is not a good faith attack by Emma Vigeland, no matter how calm she tries to do it and say, oh, I didn't mean to trigger you, Tim. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Everybody sees through it. It's bad faith, but hopefully they talk about it now. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think Emma Vigeland was right with her criticism, saying, hey, why does your content appeal to these types of people? Do you think she's going to still apply this standard now, knowing about the Gavin Long incident and this, we'll call it the ghoul incident with her current employer? Let me know in the comments down below what you think the standard should or shouldn't be, what you think her reaction was, how Tim or Sean reacted, and what do you think about this video? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Social media links are in the description box below, as well as merch. Support us at nuancepro.com/join and support the sponsor of today's video. That's how we can keep doing content like this. And I'll see you next time, bro.